Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Entrepreneur Investor Connection. I'm your host, Miguel Sanchez, and today I'm talking about the difference between vacation and residential real estate. And of course, always I want to understand more what the community and people watching are interested in. So I have a stream. I mean, a poll going at miguelislive.com, miguelislive.com. I'm definitely right now it's leaning heavily towards stock, but it might be because yesterday I had a big stock show and a bunch of people showed up for stocks. Good morning, Credit Snitch. Angelique, what's up? I'm also on Clubhouse if you want to have a conversation. But basically, today I'm just getting back into the real estate thing. A lot of people have been hitting me up about what's going on with my real estate project, which is called the Leisure Fund. And basically, real estate is actually, from talking yesterday to the stock guy, I've been noticing real estate prices are growing, right? But all prices are growing, right? So when you think about investing in real estate, you got to think of what type of entrepreneur you want to be, right? Because if you are investing in real estate, you're becoming an entrepreneur. This is why I keep saying entrepreneur, investor. There's a connection to it, and you got to understand it. So I'm going to give you the example and explain why I say that. So if I am today investing in a real estate property, I got to decide what type of work I want to do on that, right? So if I want to just collect the payments and not deal with it, more likely than not, most people choose residential real estate, right? Because what that means is, you're going to get your same client, your same rental every month. You're going to get your lease for the year or multiple years. Having trouble streaming to Facebook. All right, Facebook is giving me problems. Also, all the Meta Bronxers in the audience, give me the X. If you're from the Bronx too, give me the X. Basically, if you are looking at real estate, you're saying, okay, do I want to manage one group of people for a long period of time, or do you want to manage multiple groups of people as often as possible? There's trade-offs to that, and there's value to both, right? If you think about, wait a minute, I'm gonna do something cool that I just set up. Okay, I have it. Sorry, IGers. I'm trying to set something up here. See how that looks. All right, it doesn't look as good as I thought it did, but cool. So I'm always testing things too, right? As an entrepreneur, you always have to test things. So on Instagram Live, I just tested something, so you can check that later. But let's get back to the main, the main reason we're here. When you're investing in real estate, you have to think about your work, right? So when I thought about investing in real estate, there were the two options. Do you invest in a residential property where somebody gives you rent every month? You could do that across America. I know people that do it in multiple states, knowing you're going to get your rent every month. Or with me, I'm interested in innovation. I said, all right, let me look at the innovations of the internet and see where real estate combined with innovation would be more interesting to me. And that's where I found Airbnb. Airbnb allowed it to become much easier to manage a vacation real estate property. And when I did the math, right, if you have a resident that pays you rent every month and you have a year-long or multi-year long lease, you usually take a discount as a landlord for that benefit, right? So if you say, let's say you're in the middle of America and you charge $500 a month for your home, and the math works out, you're always getting that $500 a month, and you don't have to really deal with much. Sometimes things break or things have to be fixed, so you deal with that. Versus vacation real estate, there's literally a new tenant every few days, right? And the same problems happen. Things break, people lose their keys, people being too loud, stuff like that. So you still have a lot of the same things, but you have this added extra layer of more people to deal with, and then checking in and all these different things, right? So when you think about it, but what is the trade-off in money? It's a very big trade-off in money, because you don't have to take a discount per month. You charge as much as you can per night. So you end up making more money per month on vacation real estate, but you have to deal with more per month on vacation real estate. So those are pretty much the two places you have to make your decision. And with me, what I decided to do was I decided to base this idea of the real estate investing on the type of life I want to live, right? So I said I enjoy traveling, and I would like to have to travel for business, right? Because I had a good mentor one time tell me something that I stuck with me. He said, make businesses around the things you like doing, because then you'll never work, right? And that is gold advice right there, right? So at one point I started saying, okay, if I'm going to get into real estate, I don't want to just have an apartment or a house close to me that I go check. I rather have a place that I have to go check in a tropical island, and I can go and see it and work on it. But also that comes with even more extra layers, right? If you have a property that's far away from you, you have to have a team that manages it for you, because you can't manage something in another country or a flight away as well. I had one investor tell me straight up, that never works. I never like investing in things where I can't go there. And I said, well, this is the internet, this is the future. It's definitely possible. And that's when I started the Leisure Fund. And that's basically a way for anyone to invest in real estate vacation property. So if you're interested in that, the link is in the bio. But if there's any questions on what I just said, the key I think about when if I was starting over in understanding real estate and understanding how I want to get involved, the first place I start is by saying, am I interested in dealing with more people, less people, versus making more money or less safe money, right? Real estate is normally, for most investors, their safe investment. They know it appreciates in value every year. They know they'll have tenants, and they'll make their money passively and not have to deal with much. Of course, when you're crazy like me, you think of those same things, but you want to add the innovation layer, which adds a lot of fun times when you're dealing with vacation renters, right? So I've had so many crazy things. I've told some funny stories about vacation renters I've dealt with, celebrity vacation renters that I won't say names, but I literally had to kick out of my vacation rental. So fun things like that happen. And middle of the night, somebody getting a call, you've been locked out, all kind of stuff like that. So I'm cool with that, because I'm at an age where that's cool. But now I've actually started to put a process together where I have other people deal with that for me, and that's part of the business that I've created. But when I look at vacation real estate versus residential real estate, I also think about, and I speak about this all the time, about personal finance. You have to think about where you think the world is going and what's going to happen. Then you create businesses to take advantage of what people are going to do, right? So for me, when COVID hit, I had already been figuring out the vacation real estate thing. But when COVID hit, I was like, oh my God, this is going to be gold, because everybody's going to want to travel once they can freely, right? So I do believe the best places in the world that people like to travel, all those per nights will go up. So I want to have in places like that, because again, a business is thinking about what you think people are going to do, putting some type of business in place to take advantage of what people are going to end up doing. So that's the case with real estate. That's the case with stock. That's the case with crypto. That's again why I say there's an entrepreneur investor connection, because when you invest, you're investing in a business that you believe is going to do well, right? That you want to do well. So you have to think like an entrepreneur. So if I invest in Tesla as a stock, it's because I believe, as an entrepreneur, looking at Elon Musk as an entrepreneur and that company, they're doing something that I believe the world needs and will eventually one day get to, right? So with vacation real estate, I look at places that people are going to go. So I started out in the Dominican Republic for multiple reasons. Dominican Republic, one, It is one of the cheapest flights from America, at least on the East Coast. When you get there, it's a very low cost to enjoy yourself there. Everything is a lot cheaper for Americans. They have some of the best beaches in the world, right? So those key things make a lot of sense to me, because I say, okay, when COVID's over, people are going to have a little, not as much money as the past, because there's possibly going to be a recession as well, but people are going to want to travel. Okay, let's say people want to travel, but they don't want to go to the normal, very packed locations of a hotel or super common areas. That's why I invested in an area called Las Terrenas, which is like a very popular place in the Dominican Republic. If you know about the Dominican Republic, and it has one of the best beaches in the world. So I said, all right, that is a good investment. And I knew eventually they were going to make a flight that goes directly there, because there is a con to Las Terrenas right now. Las Terrenas is a 2-hour drive from the airport. So some people will tell me, oh yeah, but I don't want to drive 2 hours. So that's another thing. I'm catering to a certain type of traveler with that location. The American traveler, I'll be honest, is more of a lazy traveler. The global traveler is more of a adventurous traveler. When I tell my friends in America, I got a property in Dominican Republic, but it's a 2-hour drive, they're like, oh yeah, I'd rather just go to a resort that I can get to easier. But in Europe and places like that, they don't mind driving multiple hours to better locations. And I do believe Americans will get there eventually. But okay, so there's some questions. Is it harder to handle vacation or residential renters when it comes to kicking them out? Good question. Vacation renters normally are on vacation, right? So it's, they have a flight to leave, right? So especially in a place like Dominican Republic, of course, there could be scenarios. I haven't had that scenario yet. I have seen scenarios like that. With residential, to kick out a resident is one of the hardest things you can do as a landlord. It's very hard. I've heard of horror shows, actually, with people who rent residential, where they had to go to court to kick the person out, and they still had to wait 6 to 8 to a year amount of time before they could kick them out, and the person was not even paying rent throughout that whole time. So that's another pro and con that helped me make my decision on vacation rental, right? I know a few people that have dealt with that, and it's not something I want to deal with. And also, again, I create businesses based on what I want to do more of and enjoy doing, right? So again, residential, not that exciting for me. Also, I make businesses that I feel like are exciting to me. It's not just about making money to me. Like, I know a lot of people, business is just about making money. That's not the case for me. If business was just about making money to me, you probably would never even have saw me. I would have just been coding in Wall Street, and that's it. I would have made $1 million a month, and I'm just in some place doing that. But from a very early age, it really wasn't about just money to me. Like, I want to enjoy what I do, because if you look up at your life, you end up spending most of the time of your entire life working. So if you don't enjoy what you do for work, most of your life you will not enjoy. So once I started understanding that, you can't pay me enough to not enjoy the job I do. I don't care what it is. I've literally had people offer me, I swear to God, blank checks to do something, projects that I'm like, yeah, but I don't want to do that. Blank checks. And I remember my partners being like, we got to take that. And I'm like, I'm not doing that. I don't care. That project, there's no way. There's no amount of money you can pay me to do that project. And that's personal choice. Not everybody can make choices like that. I am privileged to make that kind of choice, right? But part of the privilege comes from me thinking and setting up things like this, right? If I was in a position where I had to take that blank check and take this ridiculous amount of money, but be miserable for the next 5 to 10 years, a lot of people would just take that. and say, I'm making money though. I don't care if I'm miserable for the next 5 to 10 years. I'm going to make a lot of money. To me, the value of that 10 years not being miserable, way more worth than the money. My uncle had that experience multiple times. Yeah, so if you're a residential renter, it's almost impossible that you don't end up in that scenario at some point. So to me, thank God I haven't had that on the Airbnb front yet. All right, how can I get a property in DR? Do you have PM on site looking after the property? Yes. So that's a good question. All right, so I'll walk you through the entire process of how I got the property in DR. So the first step you have to do is, of course, find a property in an area you believe, because of your own personal choice, is good to rent as a vacation property, residential property, whatever it is. So then what I did, and this is where, not everybody can do this, but it's better to pay in cash. You can take out a loan in that country, but the interest rate is really, really high. So I think it's better to either take out a loan against the current house you live in, if you can do that, or buy with cash. So let's say you figure that out too. Then you have to get a lawyer in that country, a notary, all these different things. Once you have the property and everything is yours, now managing the property, right? Managing the property, if it's a vacation versus a residential, very different. Because ours is vacation, and what we're dealing with on the leisure fund is vacation, I have multiple people that manage the property. I have a property manager that cleans, takes care of any guest needs. I have a maintenance person that if anything breaks, anything needs to be fixed, or something needs to be put up, or whatever it is, that can happen at any time. I have a person that deals with speaking to the guests, because it's in another country and not everybody speaks multiple languages. So I make sure I have someone that can speak multiple languages, that can deal with the guest, right? If there's a problem, they can call them, and I separate that. You can maybe have the same person do that. I just like separating to give people more room to scale, right? Because if I have one person dealing with multiple things like that, as we get more properties, that person is going to get overwhelmed, right? So if there's two people, that's more properties we can manage, right? The maintenance person is not needed every single day, so you don't need. So far, I haven't figured out the scale plan where we're going to need multiple maintenance people. Of course, eventually, maybe we do get there. So, and then I have an overall partner in that region, right? And multiple regions, but like eventually, right, there's going to have to be somebody that manages all the properties in Dominican Republic, and then even in Las Terrenas. If we get to 25, 30 properties in Las Terrenas, you're gonna need somebody to manage that. That's a business within itself, right? Like it's kind of like franchise, right? Like that would be the Las Terrenas franchise, right? Of course, looking at other countries, like Puerto Rico, and now, and this is how it goes back to all this investing thing. I'm looking at what's happening in crypto. And of course, you go to Miguel is live. I want you to vote because I want to see. Right now, it's only 5% people interested in real estate and 5% in other. If you're interested in something else, can you please put it in the comment anywhere? I want to know, what are the investment asset classes people are interested in, because I want to first make more content, and I also want to investigate it myself. You might have an asset class that I am not looking at, so that's good for everybody to understand more about. All right, so what was I saying? Okay, so yeah, I have multiple people that manage the properties. Tax lien, I don't know what you mean by that. Tax lien. All right, so on IG Live. Okay, so let's get more specific on the question. Hey, Miguel, I want a property. I want you to help me get a property because I don't know logistics nor the process. How can you help me with that? All right, good question. So right now, what I currently do with the Leisure Fund is people come to us and they say how much money they have to invest, right? Can they take loans? Do they have business credit? Do they have personal credit? So we figure out how much money they can invest. If they can invest the full amount, then we help them find it, buy it, manage it. We can just help them find it. We can just help them set it up. We can just help them manage it. You know, there's an a la carte kind of scenario, right? So, all right, I'm going to explain what the Leisure Fund is right now. So basically, I created, you know what? It's a connecting to what you're saying, Angel. What I created, me and my partners created the Leisure Fund because I feel like we feel like what's happening in the countries we come from, right? Like I come from Puerto Rico. I know a lot of people that are from Dominican Republic. Most of the good land in the vacation areas are not really owned by Puerto Ricans or Dominicans. So I remember when I was there looking at properties with an investment group, I was there and there were people looking to buy. And I was like, you know what? All these properties should be possible for people in America to join forces and buy. Because there's a bunch of properties available, but not enough people where one person or one family can buy it. But what if multiple people got together, put money together, and then bought these properties and either managed them as a real estate, residential or vacation real estate? We are going to focus on vacation because we believe it brings back the biggest return and it makes the most sense for what we want to do. There's people that focus on residential only, and that's fine. So the Leisure Fund, the idea is we're going to invest as a group on vacation real estate, starting off in places that people like me and my partners come from. Puerto Rico, Dominican Republic, in America, vacation places that we can afford that make sense. So that's what the Leisure Fund is. So how do we help people like G164? I know who he is. But we basically say, okay, come in and actually go to theleisureFund.com and put in how much money you have to invest. And what we're going to do is we're going to create a webinar where we talk to everybody, because what it is right now, let's say the property costs $100,000 and you only have $50,000 or $10,000. Then you can't buy that property, right? Unless you want to take out a loan, either as a personal or a business loan, and buy the whole thing and then pay back that loan. That's a whole nother process. We can help you with that too. But if you only have 10, then there's still 90 that needs to be spent. But let's say there's 10 people that have 10. Now we could put that together. Everybody owns the property. Everybody could benefit off that property, where before you were left out if you only had 10. So that's the start of the process. That's basically what the Leisure Fund, the original starting point is. In the future, my idea is we're going to make it so anybody, even with as little as $100, can invest in a real estate property and benefit from the profits of that property every quarter, right? So every quarter we'll look at how much money is made in the real estate property, and everything will be super transparent. Hopefully I can incorporate crypto in the process, so you can understand super transparent how much is being made, how much is being spent, and then understand what your payout is based on how much money you put in. That's the grand plan with the Leisure Fund. Okay, I'm interested. How can we hook up? All right, so first go to theleisureFund.com. It's in this link, but it's low. I got to redesign this, but theleisureFund.com, it's in the description in YouTube and Facebook. So theleisureFund.com is the first place to so we can understand when we have the conversation with you where you are and what you want to do. All right, so more questions. Okay. I answered, what is the leisure fund? Yeah, pandering to certain demographics. Yeah, 100%. My idea is we've been left out of this. Most Puerto Rican, Dominican people have been left out of property ownership. It's just the truth. Especially in the vacation areas of our motherlands, especially Las Terrenas. When I went to Las Terrenas and I realized, I don't believe I spoke to one Dominican when I tried to purchase a property in Las Terrenas until I had to find a lawyer. Everybody who owned was not a Dominican. They were actually Europeans. So I said, you know what? If they're willing to sell all this property, why not Dominicans and Puerto Ricans buy it? I'm not Dominican, I'm Puerto Rican, but now I'm an honorary Dominican. All right. So do you own multiple properties, vacation properties? Me, not yet. I own one and we're going to start owning more. Milan, you're in the Clubhouse. You got any questions or any comments? Let me know. No?
I don't know where you're at, so I guess
So I'm basically talking about vacation real estate. I know you're a real estate. Actually, Milan is a real estate. Are you still doing real estate in the Hamptons?
Yeah.
So Milan has shown me multiple properties in the Hamptons, but they're a little bit out of the current leisure fund range. But if you want to talk anything about vacation real estate from your perspective versus residential, what do you sell both, Milan, or just vacation, or what's your actually tell everybody what you do? Both things.
So I'm an Asian and Seekers real estate salesperson. I've been in West Hampton since I was 21, 28 now, so about 7 years. I do mostly acquisition and mergers. I like the bigger sales, so like the city buildings, like the mixed-use residential buildings.
Okay.
But when it comes to the Hamptons, yes, I focus more on the vacation stuff. But my team, they're scattered all around the world. So there's residential sales, vacation sales, commercial sales going on every day.
Okay. So if you had to tell the audience listening any things to look out for when you are choosing to either invest in vacation or residential real estate, any advice you think you could give anybody interested in that?
Yeah, I mean, if you're looking for a vacation of home, I would find a good first I would look on Airbnb, VRBO, all those different sites, and see what your type of home that you're looking at can get on a nightly rate, right?
Yeah, that's good. That's good, actually. That's really good.
Something in the suburbs, right? You can buy something on Long Island that may not go on Airbnb, but at a certain time it can, right? So if you look on Airbnb, let's say you can go for $200 a night. Now okay, at least I can make $20 a night, and then you go do the comps from there. It goes to a monthly into a yearly, and see how much money you can actually net in that property. So
thank you for saying that. I skipped over a major part in when you're thinking about doing vacation or residential real estate. The calculation on how much money you think you can make. So again, if we take the math, let's say a property is $100,000, and you say, okay, I see on Airbnb people are getting, again, let's make the math easy, $100 a night. 30 on average, every month has 30 days. So you say, all right, on average, I think I could probably make, you can't say every single day will be rented though, right? So you say, let's say to be safe, I only rent 50% of the time. So now that's 15 days times 100. So you say that's $1,500 a month times 12. In a few years, I'll get my 100,000 back. Of course, there's other fees and all this stuff, but that's a way of calculating what makes sense. Residential, very similar, right? You say, okay, I have a apartment or a house, and I know I can get $1,000 a month times 12. That's $12,000 a year. My cost is X. This is how much how long it'll take me before I get my money back. So it's all the same process, but yes, that's a very key thing. And that's where, you start to figure out where are the pros and cons and what are the pros you like, the cons you're okay with, and you start doing it. AirDNA.co, I'll give you rental discount. Oh, so my man Jose, actually Jose reached out to me and he ended up buying something in DR. So his website is airdna.co. And he'll give give you the rental rates and annual percent occupancy. Oh, no. Okay. So that's not his actual. That's a website that you can check. Actually, let's check it right now. I didn't know about that one. airdna.co. All right. I'm going to share the screen with you guys. Thanks, Jose, for that one. Oops. All right. So AirDNA pricing. Let's see how much it costs. So you can register for free, get 120,000 insights. See, but this is the kind of thing, if you're going to make it a business, you will sign up for. And we're probably going to sign up for this based on the business we're creating. But right now, we're kind of focusing on Las Arenas, Dominican Republic, because we have the system set there, right? We have the whole team working. And right now, I don't personally own all the properties, but we have 3 partners right now that are running their Airbnbs through the Leisure Fund. 3 right now, a 4th maybe soon, and then we'll understand scale, right? And then we're also talking to rentals. So here's another opportunity within Airbnb. You don't have to own the property to rent it on Airbnb. You can lease the property. So right now we're testing that as well. We are going to rent a few properties and then put them on Airbnb and see how much profit that brings. And then as an investor, you don't have to invest 100,000. You just have to invest enough to get that property going, which there's costs like furniture, some construction, because you want to have things look good for your guests. So, okay. Not my site, free option. Okay. Plug your Airbnb, Jose. I know you have an Airbnb in Dominican Republic too. Put it here, put it in the YouTube as well if you want. All right, so I'm gonna go to more of the questions. I've been planning to do Airbnb in the future. It's interesting thinking about do it over various countries, something new for me to consider. Yeah. So if you want, Caitlin, you're a Meta Bronx person, right? If you're a Meta Bronx person, in the Slack, reach out to me. I'll connect you with my team at the Leisure Fund, and you can start right now. We can have you working right now on that. Okay, so next one up. AirDNA expensive website to use. Yeah, okay. What does a property go for in Las Arenas? Again, super variable, right? Super variable. You can find a property you can find just land. You can find a property that needs a lot of fixing. You can find a villa that's worth millions. So it really, again, the lowest I think I've seen is in the like 80,000 range. But again, it depends on how close to the water. There's a bunch, there's literally so many variables that you got to kind of pro and con it, right? You can charge a little bit less. I mean, you can pay a little bit less to be a little bit away from the beach, but then you're going to charge less a night, right? But that may work for you. This is where, it's very personal to figure out what you want to do if it's just you. With us, with the Leisure Fund, we do that. And we say, look, every property we're going to be involved in has to fit this criteria, or it doesn't make sense for us, because we're going to have investors. We're going to have partners that are going to expect a profit every quarter. So if we take a property that's not going to make money, we're going to be, screwing our investors in a way because we can't pay them. So we got to make sure we have a formula that we use internally to make sure that this thing is going to pump out money, So Caitlin, DM me in Slack, in the Meta Bronx Slack. I'm going to connect you with the Leisure Fund team so you can start working on that. All right. So Jose's website is casadecampovacay.com. Launching next week. casadecampovacay.com. So yeah, Jose's been on my show actually. Jose's an entrepreneur as well. See, so Jose's an entrepreneur and an investor. I'm an entrepreneur and an investor. Everybody's an entrepreneur and an investor, whether they believe it or not. If you have a regular job, if you think I'm not an entrepreneur, I just have a job. I'm not an investor, I have a job. You are an entrepreneur. You know why? You're giving your time to an idea. You just don't own the idea. Somebody else does. But your life, your hours of every day are given to an idea that makes money. It's just not yours. So, might as well start understanding how to at least own parts of the ideas you're going to spend your time on, right? And you may not think you're an investor. I'm going to tell you right now, if you just keep cash in the bank, you're losing money every year. And now more than ever, right? So here's why. You put money in a bank, they give you 0.01%, 2%, whatever. Also, inflation happens every year. What happens with inflation is the value of a dollar goes down 3% on average. So remember what I just told you. The bank is giving you 1%, 2%. The value of the dollar is going down 3% on average. So that means every year you just keep money in a bank, you're losing money. This year, inflation is over 5% and growing. So if you got money in a bank, the value of it is nosediving. If you put that money in investments either keep the value or grow it slowly or fast or volatilely. So that's why I tell everybody, again, you're investing. If you don't believe you're investing, when you put your money in a bank, you're investing, but you're just not making the money on it. What happens when you put your money in a bank? The bank lends it to people like me, businesses, and we pay the bank interest. And the bank gives you 0.01% of that interest versus you borrowing money, doing it yourself, using that money to invest in things that grow your money. So again, I just think everybody needs to understand this. You are either an entrepreneur, and an investor, whether you believe you are or not. Thanks, Joswell, the truth. Joswell is another one, an entrepreneur and an investor from the Bronx. So the idea is when you understand all these asset classes. So today I'm talking about real estate. Yesterday I spoke about stocks. The day before I spoke about crypto. I honestly believe everyone should try to own as many different asset classes as possible. Why not just stick to one, right? Because when things happen in one asset class, they may not in others, right? So for instance, let's say you had all your money in crypto and it crashed. Now your money's way down. But if you have some money in crypto, some money in real estate, some money in stock, if one crashes, the other two are okay. But again, there's a major thing. You only lose money once you sell. There's always going to be ups and downs. So you as an entrepreneur and investor, now that you understand you just got to understand how to ride these waves like a surfer. You can't look at them and say, I lost all my money. No, it will come back. How long does it take to come back? That depends on many different things. So the idea is understand these asset classes. And again, whoever's putting other, I want to know what's your other asset class. All right, so let's see. There's more questions. How did you raise the capital to fund your vacation property if you didn't take out a loan? So for me, I took out a loan, right? But there's many ways you could raise money. You could raise money in groups, right? I could have said, hey, let's say the property is $100,000. How many people want to come into this deal with me? Let's say I round up 10 people at 10,000 each. They each gave me 10,000. We create a company. We all own part of that company. We buy the property. That's one way of raising the money, right? With a small group. There's something called equity crowdfunding where you can raise money from millions of people as little as $100 at a time. That's another way. You can definitely borrow. Yeah. Say it again.
You can wholesale properties too.
Explain wholesaling properties. I just heard that too, but I didn't understand what it meant.
So wholesaling is basically doing a contract assignment. You know what that is?
No.
It's like basically when you get a contract with somebody, but then you basically have a clause in that contract saying I can assign this a contract to someone else, at any moment, right? So basically what happens is, I'll give you an example. Let's say you're buying a property in DR and you see the property for sale for $100,000, right? So now you get it in contract for $100,000, but you know another investor that would buy it for $200,000. So what you're going to do is you put it in contract for $100,000, and then you assign the contract to another investor for like $150,000 or $200,000. You'll make that difference in between. So you'll either make that $50,000 or $100,000 depending on what the assigning amount was.
So yes, so it's not wholesale in the other way where it's like multiple, like 1,000 properties. You mean you basically take on the risk first. You find a buyer that's willing to pay you more, and you.
Yes, but this happens all in like within 15 and 30 days. Like it happens within the closing time, right? So if you have a 30-day closing clause for 45 days, it's going to happen within that. So you'll assign it to a new person within the 45 days.
Got it. So
it is wholesaling in the discount way, right? So you're discounting really.
I get it. So you're got it. So wholesale meaning you pay less, not that you get more, right?
Yes.
Okay. Got it. So there you go. You're learning right here with me. You see me learn. We all can learn. There's nobody that knows everything, and anybody that thinks they know everything, run away from that person. All right. So next question.
How do you? My question was,
what
do you do right now to get people to go to your rentals?
Right now, I do Airbnb. Only Airbnb. I know there's other sites. I could also make my own website. Everybody knows I do technology. The reason why I do Airbnb over any of the other ones is, one, it's the most popular trafficked website for this. Two, they have $1 million insurance. So if something happens in my property, I'm covered, right? So
yes, but as I had many experiences with Airbnb, I had been a brand ambassador for Airbnb and still technically am when they have the luxury retreats arm. I brought them into the Hamptons. So
nice.
I kind of know how that whole thing works.
Awesome.
Yeah, I mean, you do get $1 million insurance, but it's very hard. It's not like something happens, you automatically get it, right? Like,
yeah, of course, insurance is insurance, right? You're always gonna have to fight for your claim and all that, right? It's always gonna be.
But I do recommend using like a vacation software because yes, Airbnb at times has the highest traffic, but VRBO always beats them at the end of the year. I watch them very closely between the two.
Oh yeah.
And especially right now in the Hamptons, VRBO always gets more attention because of the less complexity that comes with Airbnb.
I've heard of VRBO, but I never really looked into it. I gotta look into it. One reason is to manage multiple calendars and stuff like that. I really didn't want to deal with that, but I could create software.
So what you would do is get a certification property management software like Keygo or Logify, and with Keygo or Logify.
Keygo is KEYGO.
No, KIGO.
Right? KIGO.
And you can look it up. It's fairly cheap. And what happens is you can aggregate your property to multiple different websites all at once with your calendar being synced, right? So you can have it on Airbnb, VRBO, what are the other sites? There's so many, but any of those sites you can put all at once. That's what I was doing when I had my property management before we sold it. We were doing it that way. So we were putting,
What was the other site you said? You said Keygo and another one. What was the other one?
It's Keygo, Logify.
Logify. What was the last one?
There's 365 Villas.
365 Villas.
Yeah, I can send you a link and they'll have all of them. But there's a lot of them.
But you bring up a point that we're gonna get to. I'm going to get to a point where we are going to collect our own data on our visitors, right? Because one thing is Airbnb has all the data, right? So I can have a person rent my property every 3 days, and that's awesome. But I don't have that person's email. And what happened last year when COVID hit, Airbnb started to suffer. But as Airbnb guests rental guests that had, rental property owners that had their data of their audience, they were able to send out to their audience and say, hey, right now, offering 50% discount. And that's a way that people were staying alive if they had that data, though. If you don't have that data, you can't do that. So I do plan on collecting data of the people that stay in our property and then eventually moving towards going direct, because once you get a certain amount of properties, it makes sense to get your own insurance, right? Right now, Airbnb's insurance is because they have a multiple amount of properties, so they can pay the $1 million insurance premium and not worry about it. But when you're a smaller company or you only have one property, it may not make sense. So the more properties you get, it starts to make more sense. So once we can have that insurance and it makes sense financially, then we can take that data straight for ourselves and make more of the money. Airbnb takes 3% of every rental. That doesn't sound like a lot, but it could be a lot of money, right? If you're making $100,000, that's $3,000. If you're making $1 million, that's $30,000, right? So it could become a lot of money.
What category you're at? If you're at the luxury, or if you're at ultra luxury, they take more.
Oh yeah, I didn't even know. I'm too poor to know about ultra luxury because you're the Hamptons.
Ultra luxury is more like the Hamptons and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Even in the Hamptons, there's not a lot of ultra luxury properties.
Oh yeah.
Probably like 100 or stuff. Yeah.
Oh, wow, 100 though. But what's ultra means like $1,000 a night kind of thing?
No, well, no, like $10,000 a night probably.
$10,000.
I had properties at they were about $15,000 to $20,000 a night. I was working with them with.
Wow.
And this was like $40,000, $50,000.
Think about that. $20,000 a night.
Yeah. These guys make serious money, for the season. Let's say from May, from Labor Day to Memorial Day. Their properties are getting $1.2 million and up.
Just in that season.
Just for that 3 months. Yeah.
Wow. See, but this is where real estate, at least last time I checked, real estate has created the most millionaires, right? So everyone should understand real estate. Try to be in it. Again, you have to choose which lane you go. Residential, passive. More passive on residential versus vacation is a little more active, but is more profitable. As you see, he said in 3 months they make $1.2 million. If they were renting that property throughout the year, how much do you think they would make over the year?
If they're doing $10,000 a night, remember I showed you the comps on one property. It was like $8 million, but it was one of those ultra luxury because it fit the criteria. So ultra luxury in Airbnb's eyes, their criteria is like having the same amount of bedrooms as bathrooms, right? So you want a 5-bedroom, 5-bath. You want
Okay.
You want to at least be at 2,500 square feet or 3,000 square feet. And then you want other amenities like maybe a pool or a movie theater or something in there that's different than everyone else.
Okay, so it has some type of special thing on top of the 5-bath. Is there a number of bedroom bath that it needs to be above?
When I was sending them 3 bedrooms, they were denying those a lot.
They were denying 3-bedroom. So you gotta have 4 and up. Wow. Talk about.
You gotta figure people come. A lot of these rich families will come with family members too, so it's not a lot for them to do, right?
Sure.
They can easily take that money and do it. These people will blow that money very fast.
That's true. If we got like 4 families, 10,000 a night. If you're rich, not that bad. Yeah, that makes sense. That's super interesting. That's good information. Actually, see, good information. So I guess any other questions? So Leisure Fund is a real estate syndicate. I don't know if I would consider it a syndicate. I guess because we're taking a bunch of people's money and investing it. Sure. Pretty much. Yeah. Pretty much. yeah. It's multiple things.
Gonna be ready for the Hamptons and like more of those.
So the thing about the Hamptons is to get a property in the Hamptons, even to rent one. How much would it cost me to rent a property in the Hamptons?
Right now, you probably can't get a rental too late. But
no, let's say next year. If I was trying to do it now for next year in the Hamptons.
There's not like a lot of expensive ones, right? Like there's a bunch. You go from, let's say, from 40,000
a month, 40,000 a month.
No, for the whole season. So you go 40,000 for the whole season.
And the season's 3 months. Season's 3 months.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's do the math right here. 40,000 for 3 months. How much per night do you believe you'll be able to get in a property that costs 40,000 for the season?
Depending on the condition, if it's getting 40,000, I mean, it's not the best condition. It's probably one of the worst in the Hamptons.
40,000.
allowed to go up. So normally you would probably get like, $300 a night, but since it's the Hamptons, it can push 500, 600 because of people needing a property. You know what I mean?
So all right, let's be conservative. Let's say 500 a night. And what do you think occupancy rate would be in the Hamptons? 60%, 70%?
This would be out of Airbnb, right? So let's say for this particular scenario, you would have an agent that would get you a person that wants it for the whole season, right? But if you want to do it yourself,
okay.
If you want to do it yourself, and there's like thousands of agents that do this every day, right? So there's clients consistently that wants property, so they can easily get you someone for the season. But you can choose, right? So most rentals either do, they say, I'll do it yearly, meaning they'll just kick the person out once the season comes, so they allow them to rent in the winter season. But then once the summer season comes, they'll change the pricing up. So you can start your rental at like $1,800, $2,500, whatever the price is, for the winter season. And then once the summer hits, you can go to $40,000 and stuff like that.
So, but you don't see people doing what I'm saying with Airbnb? You don't see people renting it?
They are doing Airbnb, but since the Hamptons already have that like norm of being a vacation spot, it already works like that. So people knew that they come there for the season, rent for the season. Now Airbnb came in the middle of that and said, hey, how about we break it up nightly? So it was kind of a hard fight, and that's why they wanted to pioneer with me, because I knew the owners and I was the way to kind of talk to the owners and have Airbnb, as a conduit.
How's that going though? Is it popular or no?
Airbnb blew up in the Hamptons, yeah.
It did?
The only thing was the laws, right? Because the laws were saying that you had to have a 30-day minimum, so you really should.
Yes. So this is another thing. He just brought up an amazing point that I totally forgot to talk about. New York changed the laws. So I first started on Airbnb because I had a property in Manhattan that I was renting and managing. And then they changed the law and I couldn't do that anymore. So then I stopped doing Airbnb until I thought of this thing where why just do it in Manhattan if I could do it anywhere in the world and allow people like me to buy properties in cool places. That's the move. So that's where he's right. One of the big things is where Airbnb is the laws. And even me, right, when I was buying the property in Dominican Republic, I bought it in a complex. So I have to be sure that the complex will allow Airbnb, because a complex can say, no, we don't allow that. So if you buy it for that, and then they don't allow you to, you're screwed, right? So these are all the things you have to think about. Vacation versus, but if I was going to do residential, I wouldn't have had that problem, but I would have made a lot less money. So again, you got to think of the pros and the cons. And we're almost at the hour. Any other things, Milan, you think about that you think people should know?
I think people should really look into the Hamptons, man. I think it's very hot, and people can really get loans right now. So it's right in our own neighborhood, in our own country. So it's one of those properties that always go up. They really don't go down as much.
I guess for me, whenever we speak about the Hamptons, me and you, I just think it's so out of my current price range. Because even if I was to raise venture capital or, $8 million home, to spend your whole capital on one home is a little tough, right? So that's where, maybe you could put this in your brain and get back to me, like, where are the entry level properties for people that are not filthy rich?
Yeah, I definitely have a bunch. Like I said to you before, the best case scenario is getting out here, right? So if you came out here for the day, and I can show you from West Hampton all the way east to Montauk, right? And then you can see what everybody's doing and why it makes sense for people who want to do this.
All right, I'm gonna have to go meet you in the Hamptons one day. Maybe we make content out of it. Oh yeah, Jeff is. Yeah. All right, so all right, that might be. So that happened live here on YouTube. I'm gonna end up going to the Hamptons and scoping out the Airbnb opportunity, the vacation rental opportunities. That's good. That was cool. So yeah, all right, I'll do that, Milan. We'll make that happen. All right, any other questions anywhere? I don't see any. But basically I'll end it like this. again, you have to realize you are an entrepreneur and investor. So now let's start looking at where you can, what are the places you can start with as little money as possible, right? With real estate, people, like I just said to Milan, I think I originally thought the Hamptons is out of my price range, even if I raised $10 million, right? But he knows better. He's going to show me different. You got to start doing your own research like that, talking to your own network, or come on this show and listen to people like Milan and start Googling after you hear all this and looking it up. And if you're interested in vacation real estate, definitely go to theleisureFund.com. But it starts with you. That's why they call it personal finance, right? Think about all the stuff Milan just rattled off. He understands real estate in and out because it was in his personal finance journey. I also happen to know Milan is an entrepreneur. He deals in crypto. He deals in startups, stock. So again, we all have to be well-rounded so we are in the best possible financial scenario for our futures, you know? And it's only up to us. We're the only ones that can do it. So on this asset class, where we're going to end today, 58% of the audience still is in stock. That's their number one interest right now. That's the most exciting investment asset class for my audience right now. Second is crypto, 32%. 5% is real estate. So even after all this, the real estate number has not changed, which is interesting. But again, real estate tends not to be exciting because it's like slow growth, safe. That's where when I take the angle of taking it to exciting places like the Hamptons or Dominican Republic, Puerto Rico, and if I bring back the whole crypto thing, I'm now looking at places that are about to turn Bitcoin into legal tender, like El Salvador, Paraguay. Places like that, I believe, are going to explode in popularity for travelers because Bitcoin is legal tender. So again, I look at what's happening in the world as an entrepreneur, and I say, what do I think is going to end up happening? And then I invest in what I believe is going to happen. The entrepreneur investor connection. You see how it connects. So I will end here. Thank you for everyone who came by. Thanks for everybody who filled out the question on miguelislive.com. Have a good weekend. Hopefully I start making you guys think more about how you can become entrepreneurs and investors more than you already are. I'm 100% in stock, looking to merge into other asset class. We need to link up. All right, you need to start watching my content on crypto. Crypto, I believe, is the next frontier for that. But again, thanks again for everybody coming by. Look, have a good weekend, and thanks again. Have a good one.